What's going on, everybody, and thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to do a quick video on get-home bags and why they're important for the outdoorsman. Now, before you kind of go down the rabbit hole and think, well, this is like a bug-out bag, end of the world kind of thing, it's not. Um, Get-home bags pretty much are for getting you out of a tight situation to make sure you can get home alive. I mean, a bug-out bag is, hey, you're running away from civilization. A get-home bag is to make sure you can get back to civilization. They're pretty easy to make. I made this out of just a regular backpack. And what you want in these bags is enough supplies to be able to last 24 hours. If you're out hunting somewhere, your vehicle breaks down, you get stuck in the mud or something like that. Do you have enough food and supplies to last you until help could show up or you get out of that situation? I mean, these things happen from time to time, where you're out in the woods, you're somewhere off grid, something happens, and then you have to survive until someone can come to pick you up. So what you have in this bag could be, a huge difference in whether it's a really good experience or a really bad experience. So let me get this unpacked here for you, and I'll go into what I have that I keep with me and what I take with me when I go out in the woods in terms to make sure I can, get back home. Now, what you see before me is what I keep in my get-home bag. I'm going to move from my left to right here and just kind of work my way around of what I have in front of me. The first thing I want to talk about is my boo-boo kit. Now, this isn't an IFAK. This isn't for combat. If you get shot, well, this isn't going to take care of that. But again, this isn't meant for anything like that. This is for your general scrapes, injuries, and stuff like that. If you cut yourself, this will be able to fix that. There's some trauma shears and stuff like that in here. Now, I bought this kit up from Walmart. This is like their 100-piece kit, and I'll put a link up for that so you can see what I'm talking about. But it was relatively cheap, and it's good to have on hand because this will take care of your general day-to-day issues. Now, included in my boo-boo kit, I do have a tourniquet because if something dire does happen, this could save your life. If you're not trained on it, I would recommend getting training on a tourniquet. Modern medicine has progressed to the point where, if you throw a tourniquet on, you're not going to lose that limb. Just annotate the time in which you do put that on, because, if something should happen, you're in a car accident or you slip with a knife or something like that, and you should happen to hit a major artery or something like that, this could, be a game changer and keep you alive. I do have a ace bandage in here because this is good for any kind of wrapping, doing any kind of compression or anything like that. Again, you slip, cut yourself or something like that, this will help keep that bandage secured to help stop the bleeding. Now, in addition to that, I do have a little fishing kit. This is just a cane pole kit that I have just to help plus up any kind of food source that you might come across. If you're in an area where you can fish, this will allow you to catch more fish, provide food for yourself, some extra protein. I do have water purification tablets. I'll put that link up here too so you can see that. I bought these off Amazon. It takes about a half hour to purify your water source. And in the event that you're out there for longer than you expect, this will allow you to keep the water source nice and clean for you so you're not going to get sick or anything like that. Last thing I have in here is electrical tape. This will allow you to keep the bad stuff out and good stuff in. Should you get an injury, you can help wrap that injury up and just deal with any other thing. I mean, this is like, duct tape light. You could use this for just about everything, and then you're good to go. Moving around, I'm going to get into a sleeping system here. This is contained of 3 parts. I have the tarp, a Poncho Liner, which is like a light sleeping bag. It's good for about like 40 degrees, and then a sleeping pad. In addition to that, I have 100 feet of paracord. You can buy this at Walmart for like $3 for 50 feet. And this is because if you have to move somewhere, and again, if you're in a vehicle, why would you leave the vehicle? But if you have to leave the vehicle, this will allow you to comfortably sleep and keep your body temperature up so you're not going to freeze at night. This will keep you off the ground. I bought this at Dunham's for like $30. It's not a bad little system. It's called the Climate Static V. Not a bad blow-up system. This is called a Mule. I bought this off Amazon. I'll link that up here so you can see exactly what it is. However, I would recommend if you're going to buy something like this, a Poncho Liner, that you buy something with a zipper in it. I did not buy the zipper, and I kind of wish I had. Reason being is if you have a zipper system, that'll keep any of the creepy crawlies out and help keep everything in the sleeping system. Tarp's pretty self-explanatory. This will keep the elements off you. If you are out in the woods and stuff like that, you need to use this system. You could also lay this on the ground as an extra layer to keep your body separated from the ground. Because if you don't have anything between you and the ground, it will suck all the heat out of you and you'll get really cold really quick. So, I mean, this is good for a canopy above you and an extra layer below you, depending on how you want to set that up. Moving from the sleeping system to food and water. Water is essential. You can only go 3 days without water before it becomes a really big issue. So I like to keep at least a liter filled and ready to rock and roll so I have it if I need it. Like I mentioned, I do have water purification tablets. So once this is gone, I could go and refill this and then let it sit for a half hour and I have another water source. When it comes to water, I will say that if you're refilling from a stream or something like that, make sure it's from a riffle. If you're not refilling from a riffle, there's a really high chance that you'll get other bacteria, not other bacteria, just bacteria in general, from slack water. So you want to find that white water source and refill from there. Granted, if you're using a purification tablet, probably gonna cut the bacteria out, but the less potential bacteria, the better. Getting into food sources, I have 2 MREs here. I stripped the MREs down. If you're familiar with an MRE, you know that they come prepackaged, they're airtight, and they take up a lot of room. So if you have MREs and you plan on using them for your 24-hour bag, strip them down, get rid of anything you don't need. They come with heaters, they come with cardboard, a bunch of other crap that you really don't need, and that'll cut down on size and allow you to maximize your storage efforts. Aside from the MRE, I do have a can of bush beans. This is the 1 pound, 12 ounce. This is the big can of bush beans. You should have something like this on standby, and I'll get into why you need this in a later video. This makes a great little hobo stove, rocket stove. You use it for signaling, and it's a good thing to have on standby because you can make a nice little makeshift campfire to cook anything over that you want to. Again, I'll make a video later on how to make a rocket stove out of this, and it's just good to have on standby because it's a great source of food, ready to rock and roll. You don't really have to heat it up. You can just open the can up and eat it, and carbs, protein, everything else like that. Now, in addition to having a food source, I would also recommend having a canteen cup. This will allow you to cook food or boil water or anything like that if you need to. Conveniently enough, this sits perfectly right on top of a big can of baked beans. So you have yourself a little system where you can boil water, or MREs come with coffee. If you want to make some coffee, you can do that. But this will allow you another means to cook food. If you catch some fish, throw the fillets in there, and then you could cook them so you're not going to get worms or anything like that. You can buy these for like $5 at Walmart. This was an Ozark Trail that I bought for pretty cheap there, and it's pretty convenient to have. Fits right over top of my water source. I could pack them pretty conveniently right inside the pack. Moving on from the food source, I'm going to get into ammunition here. Now, how I set this bag up is kind of like a general all-purpose bag, so I keep 2 extra mags and a box of 50 rounds for my carry pistol in this bag. But you can and should tailor it to your general situation. If you're out in the Rockies somewhere hunting mule deer, hunting elk or something like that, you probably don't need carry rounds, but I would recommend putting extra rounds for your rifle in there or something like that. Like I said, I carry a Glock, so I keep extra mags and stuff like that in my pack for that weapon. This is good to have on standby if you need to hunt for food. If you're in a situation where you can't fish, you could use this to shoot, rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that to just supplement your meal, your diet, and get a little extra red meat in there so you got some kind of sustenance coming in. This is also a good means of self-protection. Granted, a 9mm is going to be great for bear protection or anything like that, but the sharp crack might stop an animal from charging you. And again, you should tailor this to your general area and the weapon that you're carrying. Like I said, if you're in a situation where you're hunting in remote situations and you're using a rifle, put extra rounds for your rifle in there. If you're keeping this as like a general purpose bag, like kind of how I am, I would recommend putting your carry pistol and extra mags, carry pistol ammo and extra mags in the bag for that weapon system. Moving on from ammunition, I have 2 knives in my get home bag. One just a standard lockback knife. This is good because, if you're in a situation where you need to rely on the tools that you have, if you carry a pocket knife every day, odds are you're going to be using it and it's going to get dull. So if you keep an extra pocket knife on hand, it will be sharp and you'll be able to utilize it to make shelters or anything else like that. The reason that you want to have an extra knife is because a dull knife will get you cut. So if you have an extra sharp knife, you can use one for processing game, one for, making shelters and anything else like that. Granted, this is only a 24-hour bag, so you're not going to be out in the woods for too long, but having an extra knife on standby is always a good thing to have. Now, in addition to the lockback knife, I do have a multi-tool. This will allow you to do other things, like if take bolts out or tighten things down, or just an extra pair of pliers. This is good to have. I do like having the multi-tool because that extra knife that's included in the multi-tool is really good for wasting on cans like this. So, you're not going to use the knife in here, but this will allow you to whittle metal items and then not really worry about having to use the knife later. Next up on the list is a light source. I like to have a headlamp and then a handheld included in this bag because this will allow you to navigate hands-free, if you're at night moving around, if you're setting up your bivouac site, campsite, if something happened, you need to use this bag at night, you could set up your camp while using this and still have both your hands free. This is also a red lens, which is beneficial because you could use the red lens if you want to keep a low profile and still do what you're doing and not lose your night vision. The handheld is great because if you want to signal, you could send out an SOS. If you see a search party on the next ridgeline over, just pop that up and they should be able to see you. In addition to that, I have some extra batteries here because flashlights burn through batteries. Depending on how long you're out there, you might need an extra set, or batteries could go bad while they're in your pack. I would recommend changing your batteries out regularly if this has been sitting for a long period of time. But it's always good to have an extra set of batteries because you never know how long you're going to be out there at a really bad situation. In addition to, electronics, not really electronics, but like headlamps, lights, and batteries and stuff like that, I would recommend keeping a little power pack in this pack. This one is a solar charging pack. It's a tough tested. I've had this for about 4 years now. This particular brand, I'm not super stoked about the solar recharge rate. It takes forever to recharge, and it's almost better just to plug it into an actual outlet and recharge it. But I get about 4 charges off this from my cell phone, which is really great. So, your cell phone is your lifeline. If you're in a bad situation and you have service, you can at least get in contact with people or get to a position where you can contact people. And this will make sure that you could, have enough juice in your phone when you need to make that call and reach out to someone who can help you. The other plus to this is this. It's an extra light source, strobe, everything else like that. So this is kind of like a dual purpose power pack. I could signal if I have to signal, and I could charge my phone if I need to charge it and kind of maintain that lifeline out. Next up is a compass. This is a cheap compass, you can buy at Walmart. It's not anything special. It's like a Lanzetta compass where you can use to kind of shoot your azimuths, do any kind of like dead reckoning or anything else like that. But this will give you a general direction of your bearings. And if you're familiar with your general area, this will let you know, hey, I could walk this way and find a road, or vice versa, or anything like that. It's good to have because it could help you point in the right direction. If you're walking around the woods without any kind of direction, you're going to get lost. You're going to make things worse for yourself. So having something like this is always a good idea. If you have your phone available and has some kind of a battery source where you could pull up Google Maps at the very least and kind of get a general idea of where everything is at, you could turn your phone off, use this to say, all right, I need to walk east and I'm going to hit some kind of a main road. So this will point you there without killing your battery on your phone and allow you to get to where you need to be. And the last thing I want to get into is fire starting materials. Depending on where you're at, what time of year, and the situation that you're in, you may need to start a fire. This is because, maybe you your car fell into a river, crashed in a river, what have you. You're soaking wet, you got out, you got your bag, and now you need to rough it out until someone can find you or make your way back to civilization. Well, depending on the time of year, if you're soaking wet, you need a fire so you can dry your clothes out. Or, it's winter. You don't want to get hypothermia. You need a fire. This is a good little kit to have prepared, because if you need to make that fire, you can make it happen. For this little fire starter kit, I have 3 things. One is a Bic lighter in a Ziploc bag. This will help keep the elements out of the lighter and ensure that it's gonna light. If for some reason this should fail, I keep a flint and steel, because elements aren't really gonna screw this up. Now, to go with the flint and steel, I have an old medicine bottle filled with dryer lint. This is really great because it doesn't take much to start, and if you could get some pine boughs and other quick starting material like that, this should get a fire going pretty quick. So if you have some kind of container, like a medicine bottle or any kind of container that you can use to keep especially the moisture out, I would recommend saving your dryer lint, filling it with some dryer lint, or like some pine bough shavings or something like that, so you have a nice, quick, easy fire source that you can start when you're in a pinch. Now, 2 things that I would include in this that I didn't have would be hand sanitizer and baby wipes. Both are for obvious hygiene reasons. You got to stay, hygienic when you're out there, even though you're trying to survive. And this setup was just a general purpose setup. I add and take away as the year goes on. What I would need in July when it's, 90 to 100 degrees outside would not be what I would need in January when it's, 0 degrees here in Pennsylvania. So make sure you're updating and fitting your bag to, the seasons. Make sure it's appropriate to what you would need. January, it might be nice to have a couple, some hand warmers or a body warmer in there. July, you don't need those. So suit your bag to your needs, and it'll pay dividends if you have to use it. Now, like I said, this is a get-home bag is really tailored to the adventure outdoorsman. This is something I take if I'm out, hiking, hunting, fishing, anything off-grid, because you never know when you're going to need it, and hopefully you don't, but if you should, you have it. And like I said, tailor this to your needs, because there's no one way to do this. So let me know what you guys carry in your bags if you have a get-home bag or anything like that. I hope you learned something today, and I'll catch you next time.